I know you had a first job when you were in China before you came to the U.S. What was your first job?
Data entry for
Mhm.
my girlfriend's dad. He was, again, professor at the same university my parents worked, and he was a computer science professor. And so I begged him, and he gave me a job to do data entry because I could type and type fast. And then he taught me how to do D-based programming. I don't know, I was in high school, I think. I think I was in high school then. It was fun.
How much money did you make an hour doing that?
Chinese money or U.S. money?
Either. Well, I guess Chinese money, but what might be the equivalent to U.S. money?
A couple cents an hour. It wasn't much.
But a great learning
Oh,
experience.
it was great that I got to be around him, his faculty members, and his graduate students, be around computers, and just be in an environment that's learning all the time. And it was really fun for me. It was really good.
What did you come back and study when you came here to the U.S. and you went to the University of Houston?
Computer science.
Computer science. That was your study.
Yeah.
So you went through 4 years of school and graduated. So after you graduated, and you acquired great taste in Mexican food, I'm sure.
Oh,
Tex-Mex.
absolutely.
Yeah. The great places to go. I bet you could country western dance.
No, I can't.
Me either.
I can't dance, period.
Yeah, I know. Me either. But we could tell them we can, So where did you go when you graduated? So what was your first job out of, and what did you work while you were in college? And what was your first job out of college?
I always worked. My first real job out of college was working for Wiltel Advanced Technology Group. Wiltel was part of Williams Communications, and they were the number 4 telecommunications company in the country. And there was a big research and development lab in Houston. So I was hired as a programmer. And from there, a couple years, I got recruited out of Texas and went to California, Silicon Valley. And that's where I really learned a lot about the business of technology. And unbeknownst to me, that's what I learned. I was part of a very successful startup company called Lighthouse Design. And we were in Silicon Valley, and Jonathan Schwartz was the CEO, and it was a fabulous experience.
So how long were you there, and what was your job there? I mean, was it just programming, or what did you?
I was a senior engineer, developer, engineer, programmer, however you call it. And they recruited me out of Texas to help them really transform the company's product line from writing user productivity applications like Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. Our tagline was, the company's tagline was, we were the Microsoft of next computers.
Oh, okay.
So the company was known for, producing like a Word-like application, a PowerPoint-like application, all user productivity. But they wanted to transform into an enterprise, business, corporate world. So they recruited me to write a tool, to write a product that's catering to corporate users. And it was called Object Plan. So I was the lead engineer on that product. And so 6 months after we beta did, that's where all the buyers looked at us and say, hey, you're different from what we thought you are. And that's how they were able to sell to Sun Microsystems for quite a bit of money.
So was that your only job in Silicon Valley, or did you move around there?
No, I didn't. That's the only job I had. I was there for 2 years.
2 years. And then what was your next job after that?
Well, that was the big plunge. After the company was sold in 1996, middle of 1996, I worked for the acquiring company, Sun Microsystems, for just 30 days. I hated every minute of it. Sun is a fine company. I'm not bashing Sun. It's the big company culture that I was really not used to. So I made up my mind after being interviewed by the HR person and slotting me into engineer level 4, and the whole time she could not even refer to me as Rose or Ms. Wang. However you miscall me, at least I have a name. The whole time she called me engineer level 4. I was an engineer level 4 to her, and she represented the company to me. And that's when I walked out of that, I said, I am not going to stay here. And so back east, especially in the Washington area, there were a lot of telecom companies booming. because if you recall, Telecom Deregulation Act was just about to put in effect, and all the big companies, long-distance companies, trying to get into local telephone market and vice versa, the long-haul communication stuff. And so I was recruited to come out to East Coast and work with MCI. And I just got really ballsy. When after they offered me the job, I said, I really don't want to work for you. They were like, what? I said, don't get me wrong. I want to work for you. I want to work on a project, but I don't want to work for you as an MCI employee. And so they gave me the latitude. And they said, if you have a company, we'll take you on as a consultant. And that's what I did. I incorporated.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For you. You know, especially for MCI at that period of time, because I had a lot of friends who were working there in Texas. I was up in the telecom corridor. We saw a lot. So good for you.
Yeah. So that's how I plunged into the entrepreneurial world, unbeknownst to me. Again, there's a lot of accidental kind of things that happen in my life. I think in some other women we were talking. There's a reluctance. We don't know we're leaders. So we are reluctant leaders in some ways, but really you have all the qualities. You already have the hallmarks and makings, and the opportunity. When the opportunity is thrown your way and you jump on it, then you become leader. You take that reluctance off of your title. So that's what happened.
There's a Confucius saying that luck is the wisdom to take advantage of an opportunity when it presents itself. And I think that that's very apropos. I mean, you saw an opportunity and you took it. And I think that is a sign of leadership. You certainly could have said, I'm here, I will be an employee, that's what I do. And you said, no, I don't want to be in the employee culture. I want to define my own future. And I think that that's very telling for leadership. So how long were you doing this consulting gig through MCI? And what was the name of your company at that time?
Binary Consulting.
So what you started there as Binary.
Yeah.
So how did you pick the name Binary?
Well, zeros and ones.
Zeros and I know that, but
yes. I did a project at MCI for about a year. Then I moved on to Fannie Mae, and I did a couple projects at Fannie Mae. And then I moved on to Sprint and did another project at Sprint. Then I got really bored.
Then she got bored. I can't imagine you create excitement just in your presence. So I imagine you always want something going on.
The biggest boredom for me was when I realized at Sprint that as a hired gun, I may have the name Binary Consulting on my card. I was really a hired gun, a single gunslinger. I didn't have the capacity to make the kind of difference I wanted to make. And that really impacted me. I said I didn't have the critical mass behind me. I was just, from an economic sense, Sprint was only paying my company very minuscule amount of money versus a huge consulting company they hired to build certain enterprise systems or make changes, transform the way they do business. So that made me completely look at things differently. So I joined a friend's company in '98, and he had gotten some venture capital, and he convinced me to join his company, and I invested in his company as well. And this is back in Virginia again.
So you joined with his company, which sometimes M&A, this is another opportunity where you look, I've got to make a company change. Does it make sense to merge? Do I stand solo? I mean, those are always big decisions to make.
Yes.
You're doing well solo, but what does growth by coming together offer you? And those are always huge decisions. So you saw that as an opportunity, and you merged. His company was a little bit bigger than yours at the time?
A lot bigger, yeah.
It was a lot bigger.
A lot bigger.
So Binary Consulting merged.
Kind of just put on hold.
Okay.
Just put on hold and did little small projects, but nothing else. But I went full time to work for my friend.
Okay, so you moved over to him, but you kept your company then separate.
Right.
So it was a separate, okay, so you continued to sit there, and then you went and had this experience working with him.
Yes, yeah. He had, this is very true of entrepreneurs. He had the technical vision of this cutting-edge software product. And he was exciting all the analysts in the technology space, but he couldn't manage himself out of a bag. So since he got some seed money from a venture capitalist, they suggested to him that he he brings his own, a CEO in, professional manager. And that's when I learned, because I was the chief architect, he was the CTO. I worked for him directly. I got to travel with a lot of the senior management team. What I realized is I learned how not to manage a company.
Oh, that's important. Say that again.
I learned how not to manage a company by being very close to the management team there and watching our CEO, how he performed and not performed, and how he had very little integrity. So that was a big learning experience for me. I was there for a little over a year, and when I saw the writing on the wall, I said, I'm going to start my own company. Separate one. Still, I hadn't thought about reviving Binary Consulting. I got little projects going on, but never thought that was a project, that was a company I wanted to grow. So this was the height of .com. I had met some amazing people down in Atlanta, Georgia, and they're women. And I saw an opportunity to serve this underserved community of women leaders and business women, and started talking to a couple of them about my idea, and people got excited, and next thing you know, I got introduced to a bunch of venture capitalists, and so I started getting on the circuits without even knowing what I was doing. I had two partners from Atlanta, and we went up and down East Coast from Atlanta to Washington to New York, and trying to raise money for this idea I had.
Can you disclose what the idea was? Can you tell us what the idea was?
Yeah, it was not about, it's like iVillage, but for business women. We call it ibizwomen.com. And it's all the tools and resources and all the things you can think about for business women and international business women. And we had made a lot of contacts all over the world, and everybody was excited. We just didn't have the resources to get the company built. I actually, as a result, I met Martha Stewart. She was interested in the idea and technology that I come up with. So she was interested in looking at it as a potential investor.
Interesting. So did it get off the ground?
No.
That's okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's the journey to success, is you come at things many times in many different forms, but I bet what you learned was worth every single moment that you invested in it.
I learned so many lessons. I call that my spectacular failure.
Oh, I like that. Your spectacular failure. Good.
Yeah, it was a big psh like that. But yeah, it was a great experience. As a result, I got to learn, not just learn things I never would have learned from going to school, but also I started building a network, a professional and business network for myself here in Washington, some in Atlanta and some in New York as a result. And those people don't go away just because you had a failure.
That's awesome. So that was not tucked under Binary. So again, it was just you looking at another opportunity, creating an enterprise with other people.
Yep.
And it did work, but that's okay.
Yep.
So, and as you shared, it was spectacular because you learned so much and you've made connections now that will be lifelong.
Yes, absolutely.